Rock Chat with Trace.
In this podcast, I'm talking to Janie Smith and Greg Dean of Iconic Eye, British rock band that is here to talk about their latest EP, Back from Behind the Sun. Hello, and thank you for doing the podcast.
You're welcome. Hello.
No, really nice to be here. Thank you.
Tell me a little bit about the band Iconic Eye.
I'll let you go, Greg.
Okay, cool. So we started in 2015. I did some songs in Magnum Studio, a bit of a bucket list thing for my 50th birthday present to myself, really. I got some guys in that I was in bands with, and we needed a singer. So my wife had been to school with Lee Small, so we got Lee Small in to do the vocals for us. And then just as it came out, sort of, and it wasn't really pushed in any way, we got offered to play Download Festival. So I thought, oh my God, I need a band. So we took all the music, and Lee wasn't able to play Download. So we got another guy. I lived in Stafford at the time, and we got another guy called Tim Dorks who sounds a bit like Lee, to go out and do that gig with us. And we did that for a while. Tim left. We changed from being male-fronted to being female-fronted, and we got a lady called Jane Gould in. We released an album with her, in the process of recording an EP just before sort of lockdown started, really. And we parted company with Jane, and now we've got the lovely Janie, who's come along, who's written most of the lyrics for the new EP, and has become an essential part of the band, and we just landed with that new EP.
How did you come up with the name?
It's really hard to come up with band names, and it's even harder to come up with logos. So I thought, how about I come up with a logo that everybody's already seen? So I kind of like that Eye of Horus thing, and I thought, well, some people might not know it's called the Eye of Horus, or they might call it other things. So I'll call it a generic thing, a bit like Ron Seal, you know, what it says on the tin. So I called it an Iconic Eye. That's where the name came from. And then I sort of used that logo and embellished it a bit.
How would you describe the band's sound?
Do you want to have a go, Jenny?
Yeah, I mean, when I first heard Iconic Eye, before I joined, I'd heard their music. It was very melodic, slightly AOR-y. But then I think now, since I've joined, not just because I've joined, but I think the band want to take it in a slightly more commercial rock direction. So that is how I would describe it. It's very melodic still, but yeah, we're bringing things a little bit more up to date. So we don't want to be stuck into that, you know, AOR tag so much anymore. So yeah, it's definitely it's up-tempo rock, a little bit heavier too than I think it was before, dare I say.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Your last album, Into the Light, came out in 2017. Can you describe it?
I can. So it was a bit of a transitional album. So half the songs were actually on the first album as well. But I thought, if I just bring out a new album where we go from being male-fronted to being female-fronted, people will think it's a totally different band, and that might jeopardise the future of Iconic Eye. So what we did was we re-recorded half of the songs on the second album, but with a female singer, with Jane Gould. And then we wrote the rest of the album were brand new songs that Jane then fronted for us. So it was a bit of a transitional album.
What differences, similarities between Back from Behind the Sun and your other albums?
We do like a good chorus. So I think that plays to the melodic and the commercial aspects of what we do. And we like sort of twin guitar harmonies, bit of keyboards in there, but not too much. And then it's about what we wanted on this EP was we wanted to speed all of the songs up a little. So the beats per minute on all the songs are a little bit faster, just to get the crowds moving a little bit more in front of us. So that was the idea, really.
Janie, how did it come about with you being in the band?
Well, it's all thanks to social media, really, which is nice because a long time ago, they would never have found me. But they wouldn't, well, they might have done on the circuit, but not as easy as this. Basically, we have a mutual friend on Facebook, and he's in a band called Electus, and he messaged me and said, would I be interested in auditioning for Iconic Eye? Because I have a theatre show as well that I'm in which I have done for about 10 years. And I thought, you know, that was getting less busy, should I say. And I thought, oh yeah, I really missed the songwriting side and what have you. Yeah, I'll be interested in hearing more. So Russell, his name is, he put me in touch with Greg. And Greg and I had a little video chat, and then it was a case of going up to meet the guys, for them to meet me. And I drove a very long way for half an hour, jam with them, and then drove all the way back. So it was fine. And felt totally natural. I'd learned a few of their songs to just go and sing with them. And then a couple of months went past. We had Christmas and everything like that. And then Greg asked if I'd like to be their lead singer. No, I said no. I'm joking. So I'm here now. Yeah, that's exactly how it happened.
Your first single from the album is Back from Behind the Sun. Why that song?
Okay, we wanted a bit of a statement song. We hadn't done anything new for a while, and we've now had the added luxury of lockdown, haven't we, to be able to come back from. So we wanted something to really say to the crowd that we're back. And this is what we sound like. This is the new lineup, and this is our new singer. So a cop a load of this.
It's quite ironic, isn't it, though, Greg? Because when you wrote it, it was, like back as a band kind of thing. But it had so many more meanings, because when you originally wrote that, we hadn't had lockdown, have we?
No, it was just that we were back from being a long time, no new music.
Yeah.
And now it's we're back and back again.
Yeah. Worked out well.
What made you decide to record Jane?
Okay, well, we did that previously with Jane Gould, and it was a bit of programming of the crowds to try and get them to remember her name when she was new. But then it kind of evolved into being something that the crowds always asked for as a song. They really liked us playing it, so we just kept it. And then when very luckily we got a new singer called Jane Nee, we thought, hey, we may as well carry on and leave it on the EP.
You couldn't make it up, could you? Ridiculous, both same name.
Yeah.
Have My Day sounds quite a negative title. Can you explain the lyrics?
Yeah, it's not meant to be negative. It's Have My Day. It's about continuing to strive forwards. I think a lot of people go into things and give up quite easily nowadays and get bored or whatever. And I think I drew on just experiences from how long I've been in the music industry and how much I still want to be in it and how much I still want to push forwards. That, I think, was behind it. And it's a very up-tempo song and quite fierce. And yeah, it's all about full guns blazing and let's go for it. And the rest just kind of happens. So yeah, I see it as quite a positive thing, as in we're just going to keep on going until this, how far we can take it. So yeah, that's what it was about, really.
Can you tell me about Femme Fatale?
Femme Fatale, yeah, a lot of people have speculated into this song, going, Jane must have an awful ex-boyfriend, or Jane must have been stung, or she's bitter, or what. It's not like that at all. I am very independent. I like to encourage all women to be like that, and I'm quite strong-minded. And being in the music industry for quite a long time, you do have to be like that. You have to shout a bit louder sometimes as well, which I've learnt. So Femme Fatale is very much a girl power thing, and I've kept quiet in the past in my life because it's the done thing, but underneath I know exactly what's going on, and the words are like, I'll play the game. But it's like, I just think it's a little bit of a kick-ass song for all the women out there. And also I have noticed the rock industry that it's very quite male dominated as the fan bases as well. And I think it's just nice to put a little female touch out there, and hoping it will engage with a lot more women. And it is very girl power, as corny as that sounds, but it is. Nothing wrong with that, is there?
No, and it's the first time that Neil's written the music to a song as well, isn't it?
Oh yeah, our lead guitarist, he wrote the music. Yeah.
How has COVID affected this album and the band?
Well, it's not been great. I joined, I think, got the call around end of February, and then March the 23rd or something, lockdown happened. So it meant no rehearsals. I'd only met the band once from that time. And in that time, we wrote the EP, and it meant via Zoom, having a lot more time. I would put a spin on that and say, had it not been for lockdown, these songs might not have come about, because we had so much more time to really think them through. You can't rush anything like that. Some songs just come to you, others need more time. And this has been a really good sit back and think what's important and being really able to focus on the band more so than if your life's a bit crazy and busy. So it's a bit of a double-edged thing.
The hardest thing's been not being able to plan. So we've got dates where we've agreed things with promoters and venues, but there's kind of no point releasing them yet because we don't know if they're going to happen. I mean, just as an example, we were supposed to be supporting Magnum in Spain in May this year, which got put off till February next year, which has now been put off till October next year. So there's always there's so many things are now bouncing back across our diary. Next year, second half could look very, very busy.
I hope so. We've waited long enough.
We have.
Do you think things will get back to normal next year?
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
There's the people having the confidence to want to come out and be in a crowd. You know, they've got to get that confidence back to want to do that.
Thing. Yeah, crowds are a big thing, aren't they, in all of this? You know, especially in the kind of music and shows that we do, it's all about being down the front and getting amongst it, and that's what no one's allowed to do at all. But yeah, I'm hoping that, you know, by summer next year we'll start to see the light and things could start to return. That's in my head, that's how I see it, but who knows?
Yeah, I think that's what we're planning on, really, isn't it? The first half's still about getting the vaccine out there and seeing what happens, but the second half's normal.
How does the writing process happen?
You go, Greg.
Okay, it depends. I tend to wake up in the morning and have a chorus in my head. So then I have to pick up a guitar and work out how to play what I'm singing. And then I use my Mac to record that chorus, work out roughly what the verses are and the middle eight and all that bit is to get to a piece of music. And then you get other band members in to try and validate it and see if they can with anything better. And then what we've done on this EP is we've got the finished pieces of music, and then we sent them to Janie and said, there you go, then go and write some melodies and some lyrics for that. And I think I wrote one chorus and the other one was a cover. I wrote Back from Behind the Sun. I did the verses on that one. Yeah, but the other three that you've totally done, haven't you, basically? Done all the lyrics.
I loved it. I had free reign. He just sent it me and I thought, this is good. I could work like this.
And that seems to play to our strengths, doesn't it?
Yeah, because I like writing words and stuff, and being the singer as well, you know, I need to know where my voice is going with the melody, so that's important. And it's just nice to have a track for quite a long time and you know, wake up like Greg wakes up with a chorus, whereas I'll wake up with a lyric going, oh my god, I've got to write it down. Yeah, so it works really well, actually. I'm quite lucky.
How do you separate being a producer to being the writer?
Okay, so producing it really is, you have to listen to it through the eyes of the person that you want to be buying your album, and not listening to it through me as a keyboard player or as a guitarist. Because if you do it that way, I'll just turn the guitars up with the keyboards and it doesn't sound very good. And you have to think about, you know, where you're pitching it. So I think we probably cheekily between ourselves were thinking, we want to be like a bit of a female-fronted Heat in this space. That's kind of the overall sound that we were looking for and a bit of the dynamic. And that helps everybody who's in the room get on the same page to try and create that sound.
Have you had a chance to perform live yet?
Yeah, Janie, do you want to say that one?
Once. We did a live stream. When was it, Greg? We plugged the hell out of it, and now I can't remember the day. It wasn't long ago. We did a live streams event from KK Steel Mill in Wolverhampton, and we were so lucky to have that opportunity. I mean, not only is the venue outstanding, the light show and the pyrotechnics, the sound engineers, it was superb. And yeah, we went in there and we just did it there and then. That's all we've done. So we were lucky to do that. And we do have another one coming up on the 3rd of December. It is the 3rd, isn't it? Yeah 3rd of December at the same venue, but it's the day after the lockdown lift. We've already sold quite a lot of tickets for actual bubbles tables. Got some VIP ones near the front, and single people that can want to come to a gig on their own, stand along the sides and what have you. So that, fingers crossed, is still going to be the case on the 3rd.
Is that going to be live streamed as well?
It is.
Other than Jane, is there another song you would like to cover live?
Greg, anything you've been itching to cover?
To be honest, no. I don't really like doing covers. They're
No.
kind of a bit of an essential thing to. We're in the stage for the band really of trying to grow our audience and getting people to like us. When new people come to hear the band, they go, "Oh, we're really good. I wish we'd heard of you before." We need to get more of that really to grow our audience, and covers are the vehicle to do that. I think Jane will just do the job really. I don't think we need another one at the moment.
How do you combine family life with touring?
It's all very different for everyone in the band. But I'm a mum, and without getting the violins out, because it's not like that at all. I brought my son up as a single parent pretty much from when he was 1, and he's now 17. He's come out on the road with me in the past. He can play the drums and the guitar, and he's been a roadie for me. He is, so for me, it's just a lifestyle thing, and it makes me value my time at home much more. But yeah, doesn't bother me. Love it.
Yeah, it hasn't been a problem to us either, to be honest. I mean, we're quite selective with the gigs that we take, and most of the gigs that we try and take are the weekend ones, not because they're the weekend ones, but actually they're the dates that people like to come out and watch bands. If you try and do a gig on a Monday, you tend to not get the same size of audience that you would on a Friday or a Saturday. So we tend to push for Friday and Saturday gigs where we can. But Thursdays are really good too, especially if they're at KK's.
Yeah, on the 3rd of December.
Exactly then. That's the ideal date to have one. Because you've been locked up in lockdown, haven't you? And it's the first chance you can get out.
What's your favourite album from any artist and why?
Oh gosh, I've got so many. Greg, you go.
Okay, so my favourite at the moment is Heat 2. So I've been listening to that a hell of a lot, to be honest. And then what I tend to do is I tend to like favourite tracks and put them on a bit of a playlist and create my own digital mixtapes. Play those in the car when I can.
Yeah, I've got such diverse taste. I'm not into anything in particular. I just love just good music. So for me, the nearest thing, well, for this, I always say Bon Jovi. It's Slippery When Wet. However, I'm a massive fan of the Carpenters, her voice and the songwriting. I love all of that. ABBA, I love absolutely everything, as long as it's good and what have you. So I couldn't name an album. I just couldn't.
Anything else you want to mention?
The EP release date is the 4th, the day after the live stream.
Yeah, and you can get that from www.iconiceyemusic.com. So that's where our shop is for all our merch and the EP.
Iconic Eye, Back from Behind the Sun, was released on the 4th of December 2020, and I'd like to thank Greg and Janie for joining me on Rock Chat with Trace.